So we're here today celebrating the launch of the Bromley Excellence Centre, and I have with me Angela Clayton-Turner from the Bromley Dementia Action Alive group. And maybe you could tell us a little bit about what your organisation does.
Yes, well, there have been Dementia Action Alliances for some time now. There's well over 100 local Dementia Action Alliances, but we haven't had one in Bromley as yet. But a group of us have been working together as a steering committee to get it going, and it's being launched on October the 13th.
Okay.
Now, Dementia Action Alliances are about organisations and community groups deciding on 2 or 3 actions that they can take which would make it much easier for people living with dementia and also perhaps for their carers who want to still be able to go out and about with people who have dementia, who's perhaps a little bit further along the journey. And just to make it much easier for them to use their services. So, for example, if it's a shop, what can you do to make a shop easier for somebody with dementia to manage their shopping?
More accessible.
Leisure activities. You know, what can you do to make it easier for them to go to the theatre? Can you think about the sort of productions that you put on that are going to be easier for them? Transport is another one.
Mm-hmm.
How can you help somebody who perhaps needs to be reminded when their stop comes or something like that? So all sorts of ways in which people can think of that will make
improve the lives of people that are suffering with dementia.
And my big thing, which I'm hoping that your organisation is going to help me with, is a campaign to have way out signs on the appropriate doors of public toilets. Because you've got a sign on the door telling you where your toilet is, but when you go in and you get completely disorientated and try the cleaner's cupboard first, then for somebody who doesn't have dementia, they can eventually work out the way out. But for somebody who does have dementia, that sort of logical reasoning has become more difficult.
So how do you think that the Bromley Centre of Excellence can actually help your organisation with through YDN, the radio station?
Yes.
Would you be interested in having a programme that might talk about that kind of thing, or what kind of? How do you think the centre could actually specifically help?
Well, I think we can work together to work out ways in which the centre can help, and I'm hoping that you'll become members and be deciding on your own actions
And promote awareness.
And promote awareness, and maybe promote this campaign to have way out signs on public toilets.
That'd be very good. I'm sure the YDN can help with that. So yeah, that sounds really good.
Well, I would be delighted if you can help.
Okay, lovely. All right, thank you for talking to us.
You're welcome.
So we've got here today with us Elaine Foley from the charity Magpie Dance at the Churchill Theatre. And we've been celebrating the launch of the Bromley Centre for Excellence today. So she's here to have a chat with us and tell us a little bit about the charity. Can you just tell us a bit about it?
Sure. Magpie Dance is a charity. We're based in the Churchill Theatre. We've been running for 30 years. So that's 30 years of working with people with learning disabilities through dance. So
People, or is it children?
Yeah, children and adults. Yes, so it's age 9, and our oldest, I'd say one of our older dancers right now is 59. I think I could remember he's 59. And we also work with the Oxley's NHS Trust, so we work in hospitals as well.
Okay.
And so we work with people who have dementia or maybe, more difficult behaviours. So we kind of work across a spectrum of people.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how do you feel that the Bromley Centre of Excellence would be able to specifically help your organisation, your charity?
I think it's so great. I mean, we're right across the street from each other, so
Yes.
it's great to have the connections just right there.
Yeah.
But also, Magpie, because we're a charity, the one thing we need more than anything is people to support us. We need volunteers. We also want more people to know about the services that we provide.
You need to promote.
Yeah, because we're not that many places cater specifically towards learning disability through dance. with live music and performances. So it's like we want to spread the word. And because it's our 30th year and I can still go onto the high street and ask people, do you know Magpie? And they might not know. I feel like that's a reason. That's a reason why we need to team up. And I think we could benefit so much from spreading the word through,
possibly through YDN, the radio network. I think you mentioned earlier on that you wouldn't mind actually having your own program.
Yeah, I think that would be so fun, and I think our dancers would love it too. Because about the performing arts isn't just about dancing, but it's about performing in all kinds of ways, whether it's on the radio or sharing, public speaking and communicating in all different ways. So,
it might be a good idea maybe for you to even come into the station or to the centre and use some of the facilities so that you can you could even maybe do some filming. There's different there's filmmaking equipment here. You could maybe look at doing something like that to help promote it as well.
Yeah, and I think young people that are developing skills over here, those can be transferable to maybe coming over to Magpie or doing some kind of an exchange, developing skills in the nonprofit industry. It all crosses over. People who are musicians and creatives, we work with them too. So I think definitely when you're a budding musician or an artist and you're developing your skills, you want to know how to spread them across all sectors.
Yeah, so it sounds like it would be quite beneficial to your charity.
Definitely.
Fantastic.
Definitely.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you very much for talking to us today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And that's a pleasure. Thanks very much. Hello. So we are here today with Barnaby Winter. Hello, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
And we're celebrating the launch of the Bromley Centre of Excellence down here in Bromley today. So Barnaby's just done some fantastic talking during our launch while the Mayor was here. It was really, really interesting and inspiring what you had to say about businesses. And how do you feel about the launch of this whole idea of the Bromley Centre of Excellence?
I think this is where most boroughs in London have to go. Because if they don't, I think we're going to disenfranchise a whole generation. And I'm really excited to be even remotely connected with this, but to be an active part of this initiative here in the Bromley.
So you're actually going to be helping the Bromley Centre of Excellence, aren't you?
Absolutely, yeah. So I'm going to come in at all the various different levels. The intention is that I come in at an advisory level, at the senior level, particularly from a marketing perspective, which is my core competency, but also the intention is that I will be running a radio show to help young, creative-minded people actually set themselves up to earn enough money so they can bring their passion and their talent to life.
Because that's not an easy thing to do.
No, I think, anybody who's creative, and I've been very fortunate to have had a career in advertising. I've run a top 200 advertising agency, and when you run an advertising agency, it is full of creative people. And so managing their expectations, enabling them to deliver what's actually burning deep inside them is one task. But in today's world, where actually they then got to earn money to live in order to do that, that's a real challenge, because if you're even remotely creative, it consumes you entirely every waking moment of your day. So actually the idea of sitting down and actually creating something that builds money is much more challenging. So the intention is to help people do that well.
And it's also can be quite tricky for not only young people but for old people as well, such as myself, because I've started up a company which is called Lipstick Cabaret, and I find it pretty tricky, to think about marketing strategies and finding a way of finding enough capital to do what I need to do to promote the company. It's not an easy thing to do, so especially if you're young, you're not very much experience. You need some kind of support to follow the pathway to try.
Very much so, and I think at the end of the day, your digital network is going to be a community radio station. There is no age boundary. I think the focus is on this generation that is been cut adrift from society for all sorts of reasons. The main reason being is there are no jobs. for young people, because the construct of the business arena is that 76% of businesses in the UK have no employees. Well, they're not going to take on a young person. It's too much of a challenge. And then another 24%, so that's a total of 96% of businesses in the UK, have less than 10 employees. I just don't think, when I talk to them, that they're ready to take on a young person. So I think there's a real challenge there, but you're absolutely right that the disciplines that it takes as a young person to set up a business isn't exactly to anybody who is an entrepreneur and wants to start up their business. So I absolutely agree with that. And invariably, people who start business have a great idea. They think they can do something better than other people. So they are themselves the technicians. They want to do that. They want to do it well. They want to do it better than anybody else. And they forget some really basic fundamentals in business, which is making money.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be having a few conversations.
I'd love to. I'd love to.
So, and then the facilities at the centre are obviously going to help. There's a whole range of different facilities.
Absolutely.
Which should empower a lot of young people in the borough to be able to come and use them. There's filmmaking, there's music, recording studio.
There's training.
Yeah, there's lots of training, support and advice for creative entrepreneurship. Especially
very much so. And I think what we really want people to understand is they can come here and express themselves in the way they feel most comfortable. And then what we'll do is we'll add the skills to that attitude. So I think for me the Bromley Business Centre of Excellence is about bringing the right attitude in, the right desire, the right passion, and then giving that skills. I think it is only 20 years ago where people were recruited for skills and attitude was ignored. And I think that's the big change in the millennial generation, that's under 30s. Is they've got great attitudes. The people we've met today here at the launch have been amazing. Full of life, full of energy, but the education system, the system, does not enable them to bring that to life in a way that actually is commercially sound.
Well, I think somebody like you is invaluable to inspiring people to feel positive and try to make their way.
I really hope so. I really hope so. It's something I'm very passionate about. When I work with big corporates, as I do, as my main job, they've already got this, and then you just look and you just think, I mean, there's another really interesting statistic, which is in 10 years' time, 49% of the workforce will be this millennial generation. Who's training them? Who's giving them the opportunities to be commercially sensitive?
You are. Thank you very much for talking to us.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Barnaby.
Thank you.